There is a root vegetable so valuable that a Roman emperor demanded it as tribute. Instead of gold, a plant so intensely sweet that for centuries it defined what sugar meant in Europe, a food so nourishing it carried entire communities through the hungriest months of winter, and so refined it appeared on the tables of kings. A root with a flavor so complex that a 17th century agriculturalist called it the sweetest, whitest, and most pleasant of all roots. And yet today, if you walk into a supermarket, you won't find it. You won't find a label. You won't find a memory. You won't even find an empty shelf where it once belonged. This is not the story of a crop that failed. It is the story of a crop that was erased because it was too good, too sweet, too complex, and too wild for a system that values speed, uniformity, and plastic perfection above nourishment. We didn't lose it because it couldn't survive. We lost it because it survived too well. We traded an emperor's confection for an orange stick engineered to fit a machine. This is the story of Skirret, Sium, sisarum, the forgotten sugar of the soil, and the quiet decision that removed it from history. Welcome to nature's lost vault. To understand what was taken from us, you first have to understand what Skirret actually is, because it does not behave like the vegetables you think you know. Most of the roots we eat today are annuals, but you plant them, they grow on, say. You pull them up, and they die. The system depends on constant replanting, constant labor, constant input. Skirret refuses to play that game. It is perennial. You plant it once, and it settles in like it owns the land. Beneath the soil, it doesn't form a single, obedient taproot like a carrot designed to be yanked out by a machine. Instead, it explodes into a dense cluster of pale, twisted white roots, each one 6 to 8 inches long, radiating outward like buried treasure fingers gripping the earth. It looks less like a vegetable and more like a hoard someone forgot to collect. This root system isn't a flaw. It's a strategy. Skirret evolved to survive brutal winters, and to do that it packs its roots with enormous concentrations of natural sugars that function as biological antifreeze. The colder the soil becomes, the more sugar it stores. This is survival chemistry, and it comes with a side effect humans once prized above all else: sweetness. But this isn't folklore or romantic exaggeration. The science tells the same story. In 1989, at the first International Symposium on the Diversification of Vegetable Crops, researchers conducted a detailed nutritional analysis of the results were published quietly, without headlines, without marketing, and without a corporate sponsor. The numbers should have shaken the modern food industry. When you strip away branding and nostalgia, a modern supermarket carrot is mostly water, roughly 88%. It looks solid, but nutritionally it's diluted. Skirret is different. Its average dry matter content is around 16%. That means, in every bite, you are getting dramatically more real food, more minerals, more energy, more substance. And then there is the sugar. A standard grocery store carrot contains about 4.7 grams of sugar per 100 grams. Skirret doesn't just beat that number, it annihilates it, ranging from 10 to 15 grams per 100 grams. And here is the detail that should stop you cold. Around 65% of Skirret's dry matter is pure sucrose, the sweetest naturally occurring sugar. This wasn't bred into it by modern laboratories. This is how it evolved. This is what it chose to be. Its sweetness is not an accident. It is its identity. Even the names people gave it reveal the truth we've forgotten. The word Skirret comes from the Middle English Skirret, meaning white root. But across Europe, people were more honest. The Danish called it Skirret. The Germans called it Zuckerwurzel. The Dutch had their own variation. Different languages. Same translation. Sugar root. This wasn't metaphor. It was function. And it wasn't empty calories either. While we are taught to eat carrots for health, a typical carrot offers around 5 to 6 milligrams of vitamin C per serving. Skirret delivers over 25 milligrams, more than 4 times the antioxidant power, wrapped in a sweetness that intensified after frost. It didn't just tolerate winter, it transformed it into flavor. This resilience and richness made Skirret legendary long before supermarkets existed. In the ancient world, it was not desperation. It was status. The Roman Emperor Tiberius, a man who ruled an empire and could summon anything from anywhere, was obsessed with it. Pliny the Elder records that Tiberius refused to eat Skirret, grown in warm Italian soil. He demanded it be imported from the colder Rhineland, where frost drove the sugars higher and the flavor deeper. And here is the detail that reveals its true value. He didn't pay for it in gold. He demanded it as tribute. Conquered Germanic tribes were required to send Skirret to Rome instead of currency. Think about that. An emperor taxing people not in metal, but in roots. To Rome's elite, Skirret was not a vegetable. It was a confection pulled from the earth. And when Rome fell, Skirret did not. For centuries, it held its ground. In medieval Europe, it became the secret weapon of the monastic garden. Monks were the master agriculturalists of their era, and they understood something modern systems ignore: the hungry gap. Late winter was the most dangerous season. Grain stores ran low. Apples rotted. New greens hadn't emerged. This was when people starved. Skirret solved that problem. It could be dug straight from semi-frozen soil in February or March, delivering sugar and starch when nothing else could. It became the bridge between winter and spring. It wasn't hidden away either. In 1390, the master cooks of King Richard II included Skirret in the royal cookbook. They battered and fried it into sweet fritters. They baked it into pies with chestnuts and marrow. In 1682, the agricultural writer John Werlich described it plainly. When boiled and served with butter, it was the sweetest, whitest, and most pleasant of roots. For over 1,000 years, Skirret reigned quietly, reliably, feeding the poor, delighting the wealthy, and holding civilizations together through scarcity. So how does something like that disappear? Not through disease, not through pests, not because it failed. It vanished because human priorities changed. The agricultural revolution of the 17th century shifted farming away from growing to eat and toward growing to sell. And into that new market walked the orange carrot. Before the 1600s, carrots were purple, white, yellow, often woody, and inconsistent. Dutch breeders began refining a new strain, bright orange, the color of the House of Orange, their ruling family. But color was only part of the story. They bred for geometry. The new carrot was straight, smooth, uniform, a single clean cone that could be pulled from the ground in one motion, wiped clean, stacked, counted, priced. It was visually perfect. It was commerce embodied. Skirret never had a chance. On a market stall, the eye is drawn to symmetry and brightness. Skirret's twisted, clustered roots looked chaotic next to the disciplined carrot. We began to eat with our eyes, and complexity lost. But aesthetics were only the first blow. As farming scaled up, machines took over. Skirret's clustered roots trap soil. They cannot be tambo. They cannot be mechanically peeled. They require human hands to separate, clean, and prepare. In an industrial system built on speed, Skirret was labeled inefficient. When tractors replaced gardeners and factories replaced kitchens, Skirret was fired. Seed catalogs dropped it. Farmers stopped planting it. Within 2 generations, an emperor's tribute became a botanical curiosity. And here is the part that should make you angry. Today, we spend billions trying to engineer climate-resilient crops, trying to force industrial vegetables to survive drought, frost, and chaos. Meanwhile, a perennial root that survived European winters for 1,000 years sits ignored. Skirret thrives with minimal care. It self-propagates. It stores energy. It laughs at frost. The very traits that made it useless to big agriculture make it priceless to individuals. Plant it on, say, harvest forever. Dig up a mature clump, snap off the fattest roots, return the crown to the soil, and it regrows. Infinite food hidden in plain sight. In the kitchen, its flavor is a revelation. Sweet like carrot, but deeper, nutty, aromatic, with hints of parsley and parsnip. It tastes like something humans didn't design. The story of Skirret is the story of what we sacrificed for convenience. We traded nourishment for uniformity, flavor for speed, diversities for packaging. But this vault is not sealed forever. Seeds are returning. Growers are experimenting. Knowledge is resurfacing. The sugar of the soil was never gone. It was waiting. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe to Nature's Lost Vault and ring the bell. Every share keeps forgotten knowledge alive. Some crops are too complex to standardize. Some flavors are too good to erase. And some treasures have been waiting 1,000 years for us to remember what an emperor once knew. The next vault opens soon.